Hello there guys and welcome to another tier list. So today we are going to be covering the Black Templars. They've had some absolutely awesome new models released. I say new, they've been released a while now. But we've also seen them do fantastically at a few tournaments. We've seen them go undefeated at LGT. So let's dive into the units and get into it. So here are the units. So effectively, we're going to go in order of the beautiful list that we have for the data sheets on the codex. So we're going to start off with something easy. So we're going to go with Castellan. So the Castellan has had a big glow up, guys. This guy is going to be awesome. Oh, has been awesome for a fair few people. He's rocking a melee profile at 6 attacks, strength 5, AP 2 damage, and on 2s with lethals, or 7 attacks, strength 4, AP 1 damage with sustained. This guy's pretty awesome. His main thing though is his ability. So while he's leading a unit, he basically gets to roll a leadership check. If he passes the leadership check, the unit gets 4 rerolls to hit. If he fails the leadership check, they get reroll 1s to hit. So obviously this is a very powerful ability, and the fact that he can join a unit as well as a Marshal means that you can basically combo the crit 5s and full rerolls, which means you get like a really solid, like punchy piece with either like Sword Brethren or Crusaders or whatever you wanted to do. So this guy, I'm going to think you're going to see at least 2, probably 3 in most lists. So I'm going to put him straight up to S. I'm probably going to put him straight up to S because I think there's like 3 things in my mind that I think are S right now. People may or may not disagree. Feel free to drop a comment below and tell me if you agree or not. I love that stuff because I've made a mistake about Arjac before, and I will make a mistake now. So yeah, that is the Castellan. So I like him. I think you're going to see him in a fair few lists, and he's pretty powerful. Next, we go on to Chaplain Grimaldus. So Chaplain Grimaldus used to be a staple in a lot of the old circles, with the Templar Horde being the fact that he actually gave a unit the advance and charge. And he gave a unit a 5+ Feel No Pain. Now, he has had a bit of a rewrite. I'm going to write his Templar. I'm going to be doing a Templars 101, so if you want to go and check that out for more details, please go and do. But effectively, he's on the service level, he gives reroll hits, and he has new Temple Relic abilities, which is +1 to advance and charge, add 1 to the toughness of models in unit, and improve the AP of the melee attacks by 1. So these are very different rules. I mean, the +1 toughness is cool. I think you can see that being a pretty powerful tool in certain situations. However, losing the advance and charge is rather big, and losing the Feel No Pain is also rather big. So obviously you can still use him in stuff like Gladiator and stuff, so he can still run off and do advance and charge into the detachments and stuff. But unfortunately, in the Templar detachments that I don't really want to use because they are our detachments, you won't be seeing it very often. So I think I'm going to put him in solid B, because I still think he's solid. I think there's a world where points come down on Crusaders and Grimaldus, and you can see him being used a bit more often. So yeah, we're going to put him in B. So that's what we're going to be putting Grimaldus in. Crusader Ancient. Now, I want to, because the model is amazing, first of all. We've got a little, we obviously can't see from where you are, but go check out the model. He is awesome. And in the Ancient detachment, you can see there is a role, right? So his basic abilities are, every time when he leaves a unit, he gives a fight on death on a 4+, which is obviously pretty cool. So being able to fight on death is really good in this current meta, because obviously the units that rely on -1 damage to try and survive means that when you fight on death, you remove that ability away from them, especially in the fact that if you take it in Gladiators, it means you have fight on death in 2 places. Because if a unit fights on death with damage 2, that's just killing berserkers, and the -1 damage doesn't work from stratagems, sorry. -1 damage does work on data sheets, but not on stratagems, which is obviously very important with the current meta that is around us. So that's the first thing it does, and obviously, and also one thing it does is when the first model in this unit makes a melee attack that destroys one or more enemy unit, he goes to OC5. It's like the Apothecary Biologus ability, except he goes to OC5 rather than OC9. He himself doesn't give out the +1 OC, which is a shame because I think he should probably do that. But the fight on death is also very good. And he also has a pretty solid melee profile himself, with lethal hits, hitting on 2s, and strength 5, AB 2 damage. Very, very solid setup for these characters. So is there a world where you'll see him in games? I think so. So I think I'm going to put him above Grimaldus in B. By the way, I don't think there's going to be many things in D, by the way. I think we're going to be mostly looking at a few S's, because I'm always the optimist. We're looking at a few S's, a fair few A's, and a few C's, maybe 1 D, but that's pretty much it. Because obviously I haven't got loads of data sheets to work with, an amazing amount of data sheets to work with anyway, but I think they're also going to be very important. So that's where we're going to put the Crusader Ancient. Next is the classic Crusader Squad. So Crusader Squads, I think, are in a bit of a tough position because they're still suffering from the past of 100 Templars. So effectively, these guys used to run in 20 mans with 6 at Philippine, 5 plus in Grimaldus' squad, 5 plus with Tanias's Bones. Obviously, the book has evolved that since that sort of existed. However, they have lost an attack on their melee profile. So they've gone down one attack on their chainswords, but they have sustained. So I still think it's solid. The Mastercrafted Power weapons the one Mastercrafted Power weapon in there gets lethal hits, and they've still got 4 Power Fists. Again, losing an attack on that. But the main thing here, which is the main attraction to them, is they have a Blood Surge, and there's a few detachments that really enjoy that interaction. Now, I haven't seen any Crusader squads in a tournament list that's sort of been doing very well at the moment, but I really think they're on that cusp. You see what Berserkers are 360 points. They have 20 dudes. These are 310 points. They have 20 dudes, except they do have 10 scouts, so that does make a difference. But I still think there's a world where these guys can be quite good and quite lethal in combat, especially led by a Marshal with just lethal 5s. And a Castellan, like that 20 man with crit 5s, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to hit, and sustained is very dangerous. So I can see that being an attractive, feature for them. So I'm not 100% sure where they will sit in the grand scheme of things, but I think I'm going to put them in. I really want to put them in A. Which I think I am going to do. Is it above the Crusader Ancient though? I think I'm going to go with putting them in A because I love Crusaders as well. So bear in mind, guys, this might be a little bit skewed, but actually no, it's not. It might be the bottom end of A. So we're going to go top of it B. Top of B. So yeah, so we're going to go top of B for Crusader squads because I still think they're really good. They have a Blood Surge. Obviously, they're a little bit pricey at the moment. But I think if certain things get nerfed around them or they come down in points a smidge, they can suddenly be a lot more viable in these sort of combat pressure lists that you're going to be seeing around. And next is the Emperor's Champion. So the Emperor's Champion has always been a bit of a beat stick in combat, right? It's always had a very solid combat profile, and he has not changed. So he's got anti-character 5 plus, precision, 6 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, 3 damage, or a sweep at strength 10, AP 2, strength 6, 1 damage, all on 2s to hit. His data sheet abilities, he can blank 1 damage down to 0 turn, and he can each time he declares a charge, if one or more unit of charge is a character keyword, add 2 to the charge roll, and once per battle, when the unit is selected to fight, if that unit is within engagement range of one or more enemy character units, until then the model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by this model have the devastating wounds ability. So it's like his own little. It's like his own little Asmon, but in combat. Damage 3 dev wounds, anti-character 5 plus, precision. Like suddenly these things can sort of really work together and be really powerful. And the main thing is here, he is indeed alone up, but he can lead units as well. So we go into Assault and Assessor Squad. The Assault and Assessor Squad can give him revolver rolls to wound as well, which is obviously very good. And yeah, so I think we're going to put this guy in A, solid A. I think there'll be lists without him, there'll be lists with him. I don't think I'd leave home without him for his value, but he's going to sit solidly in A for me because I really, really like him. Next, we're on to the Execrator, another one of the new awesome models. So he looks like a chaplain, but he's kind of a chaplain, but he's kind of not a chaplain, which is 100% a chaplain. So basically, he has a normal melee profile. He's got his Crusader Arcanum, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage, or he has a Mastercraft Power Weapon, which is strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage. Or actually, he has both, which is awesome. And then the main thing is he lets the unit advance to charge when he joins the unit, which is really, really cool. And once the unit's if this unit destroys an enemy models within every unit within 6, it destroys an enemy unit. Every unit within 6 inches of him rolls a battle shock test, which can be very good. So it can stop interrupts. It can do all that sort of good stuff. I like Execrators, but I have not seen them in every list. So I think I'd be using like 1 or 2 in like 5-man Assault and Assessor squads as little trade pieces, because that unit punches well above its weight, especially in like Gladiator, right? So if it goes, if you get the extra AP in there, then suddenly it's like the unit actually produces like 11 attacks at damage too, and it's very powerful. So I think Execrators are going to be sitting in A. I think he is unfortunately below the Emperor's Champion for me, but I love both, and they are both my boys. So yeah, so Execrator is going to sit in comfortably in A. Then we're on to the Gladiator packages. So Gladiator Lancer, Gladiator Reaper, and Gladiator Valiant. So the Lancer is still a Lancer, but it doesn't have Oath anymore. But it does still have its reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage roll. So without Oath, this thing can be a little bit lackluster. You could always take some incursions to make it a little bit more reliable, but I think because of something a lot more reliable in terms of, anti-tank or, anti-tank in general in this list, which I'm going to go on to a little bit later. But I think the Gladiator Lancer will not be sitting very pretty here. Like if there's any stealth around, suddenly it's not very useful either. That could become so swingy. So for me, the Lancer, which I think is this guy. Oh, there he is. So the Lancer is gonna go into. We'll put him in C. I'm gonna put him in C. I tried to find some cool Black Templar ones, by the way, but I couldn't find one for the Lancer. So he's gonna sit in C, and then we're gonna go on to the next Gladiator variant, which is going to be the Reaper. Now the Reaper has been famously a nasty little thing in the meta because it's got a sustain 2 gun and can have Oath, because against infantry it gets sustain 2. However, it doesn't have any rerolls, so it does have Twin Links still, but it doesn't have any rerolls. I think it's good for like a chap clearing thing, but again, I think there's something else better. So I think these are also going to be. This is also going to unfortunately be sitting in C for me. So let's put the Gladiator Reaper in C. Then we're going to go on to the Valiant, and I think you know where this is going, guys. So it does get +1 to hit against monsters and vehicles, so that does make it a little bit more reliable. It does have a bunch of guns, so I think I'd probably put it above the others, because at least it does get +1 to hit. So the Valiant, I'll sit the top of the Gladiator packages, but I don't think you'll see them very often. Like just without Oath, right? Because without Oath, you can see, I just don't see them being as useful, because I think there's another tank which is very, very good, which is going to go on to in a little bit, which will get full rerolls all the time, pretty much. So we'll go on to that in a little bit. So that's the Gladiator Reaper. Next, we've got to High Marshal Helbrecht. I love this guy. He was a staple of every single one of my Templar Horde lists. He went in to get to the crit 5s and stuff, but obviously he has changed. So his abilities now, he gets +1 to his attacks and strength for his melee weapons and the models of the unit. So obviously that turns into a lot. So what you can do is like put him into Sword Brethren for like strength 6 and like 4 vortex piece. Vortex piece? Yeah, we'll check that later. But he's one of those things that can join. But also he's kind of inadvertently like a heroic mortal wounds threat as well, because he does like on 2 to 3 does on the 1 he does nothing on the charge, but on 2 to 3 he does D3, on a 4 to 5 he does 3, and on a 6+ he does D3 + 3. So that threat in its own right can be annoying. Like if there's like a Banshee unit charging you or something, like a 1 wound sister sort of unit that can take more wounds on a 4 up, 3 of them will just die. So they do have their own. He does have his own threat that way. So yeah, I like Helbrecht. His melee profile he's still a beast. He's got 12 attacks, strength 6, AP 3, 1 damage. He's got 6 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, 3 damage. And yeah, so he's still got his random like anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, 2 shotgun. So Helbrecht is going to sit in A for me. I think he's going to sit. I'm going to put him above the X. No, I'm going to put him below the Execrator because I think he's in less of my list than Execrators. Again, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Helbrecht is very good, and I think he's very close to being very good. I think there's just other options that just outclass him by quite a lot right now for the price as well. So next we're going to go on to the Impulsor. This is a nice easy one. So Impulsors you're going to see in a lot of lists. They're solid. They're Impulsors. I think you'll need them in a few lists. I've got at least 1 or 2 in each of my lists, so I'm going to sit them pretty in. But we've also got quite a lot in A anyway. What else have we got left? I think we're going to put this in. Yeah, we're going to put this in A, because I think Impulsors are always useful. The Black Templar Impulsor, does it still get its multi-melter? I'm pretty sure it does, but let's just have a double check of that one before I say it does. It does. It does still get its multi-melter, so that's great. So yeah, so I think basically the multi-melter is going to still sit in A, because it's just a solid transport, right? I think for the price, and it's an Impulsor, you'll see them in a lot of lists. You see them in a lot of Gladiators lists naturally anyway. So yeah, as we're sitting comfortably there. Land Raider Crusader is next. This is the one, Land Raider that has its own Black Templar data sheet. It gives out reroll 1 to hit and wound from the unit that disembarks as long as this unit shoots it. And the unit can disembark on charge when it moves. It is only 220 points, which is obviously very good. And it's not very good, but it's very cheap for its hull, I would say. But unfortunately, it's going to get outclassed in a little bit when I go through the next tanks. So I think we're going to sit this in C as well. I don't think you're going to see these very often. I just don't think you're going to see them very often at all. If there's like a specific set of terrain that works really well for these for the moving Land Raiders around, I can see an argument. But unfortunately, the repulsors, which I'm going to get onto in a little bit, are just such good value for what they are. I don't think you're going to find a reason to have the Land Raider Crusader very often. But I do think you're more likely to take a Crusader than like Gladiators, I would say. So yeah, that's that one. Then we're going to go on to the Marshal. This guy has had another glow up. So he's got 7 attacks now, and his ability is nuts. So first of all, it gives out crit 5s. So it gives out the old ability that Helbrecht did, which is obviously great. And then, so yeah, it gives out crit 5s. Then each time model is selected to fight, it gets +1 attack to the melee profile. To a maximum of 3 for each unit within 6 inches of it. So he can get a 10 attacks with lethals and full rerolls if you have the Castellan in there. Because obviously you don't have access to Oath in this detachment, so the only time that you're really going to be getting the rerolls is by having Castellans in the units. Now, the most useful thing you could have, the most use you're going to have out of rerolls is a unit that naturally has crit 5s. So I think the general package is like 4 or 5 Sword Brethren with a Marshal and a Castellan in there, and they're going to be doing a immeasurable amount of damage to attacks. It is a lot of damage to attacks. So yeah, I think this guy's going to sit in S. He's going to be sitting basically same sort of bandwidth as a Castellan, especially for his points cost, which is I think like 80 points, which is crazy. And yeah, so he's great in his own right. So next we go on to the 2 tanks that have been building up for so long. So it's going to be the Repulsor first. The Repulsor itself is probably like quite a bit worse than quite a bit worse than the actual Rep X itself. But the Repulsor has a cool little ability. So in your shooting phase, each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot, after this unit is shot, if any of those attacks are targeted, if any of those attacks target this transport, it can use this ability. If it does, any units embark can disembark. When doing so, basically makes it wholly within 6 of the transport. So this is pretty cool. So when it gets shot, you can disembark 6 away. So I still think this is pretty good, weirdly, because if it gets shot, you can actually sort of give yourself threat ranges. If it gets shot and don't die to an activation, you're going to die to another one. You can disembark the units so they're not battle shocked, so they can still interrupt or -1 damage, or sorry, not -1 damage, like interrupt or AOC or anything like that. So the Repulsor itself is not bad. So I think I'm going to put the Repulsor, the normal Repulsor will go into B, but the Repulsor Executioner, which is what we're going to go on to now. This guy is very, very good. So his ability is, as long as there is an Adeptus Astartes unit within 12 inches of you, and as long as there is sorry, 1 second. So each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within 12 inches of 1 or more Adeptus Astartes units, you can reroll hit rolls. Yeah. So if you just get, I thought it was that. I thought I misread it. So effectively, you can get 4 rerolls to hit if there's a unit within 12 inches of you, which means you're always going to basically have it. So it's basically one of those things where I actually basically naturally has Oath, but it just has it all the time. This makes them very good Overwatch platforms, makes them very good, to kill screens and to kill transports before you send your boys in. This guy's going to sit in S, like just automatically in S. They are fantastic. And then next we are going to go on to Sternguard Veterans. Sternguard Veterans, they are unfortunately the one unit I will be putting in D. I don't see a world where they're useful yet, unless they significantly drop in points. They're marine. They're like effectively their guns are their usual guns. So they've got they've got their 2 shots. They've got their 2 shots each on the bolt rifle, rapid fire 1. But again, they have no Oath. They have no access to the shooty strats that the other ones do. And basically, I think intercessors are just better, because they have sticky, they're OC2. So I don't think there's a world where you'll be using Sternguard Veterans. So unless again they redo the data sheet or they do something different with them, but they will not. I don't think you'll see them at all really. Then we're going to go on to the Sword Brethren. The Sword Brethren are amazing. This is part of the package I was talking about earlier with the Castellan, the Marshal, and the Sword Brethren. The Sword Brethren themselves rock a cheeky 3 attacks, strength 5, AP 2 damage. They can get a Thunderhammer in there, but the fact that I think you just go with, you can get a Thunderhammer in there, which is really good. But the Mastercrafted weapon gets 3 attacks. You can get +1 attack from that from Helbrecht, but mainly they've got their 2 hit, strength 5, AP 2 damage. In the Castellan and the Marshal brick, that means that you're going to be with a unit of is it 4 or 5? Yeah, 4, you can take 4, or you can take 5, or you can take 10. So basically, the 4 is 105 points, the 5 is only 130, so it's only 25 points extra. But effectively, the 4-man will kick out with the Marshal if there's 3 units. If there's 3 units within 6 of it, plus the Castellan, I think is in the range of 27 damage to attacks, which is insane with rerolls to hit and lethal on 5s. Another thing I've been seeing people do is actually taking a unit of 4 with the what's called the chainswords, because the chainswords itself are strength 4. They can get +1 to wound in or lance in Gladius. Still have the Castellan, still have the Marshal, and so do that unit with, and they all have the chainsword, bar the Marshal, because he just has his own, can pump out a load of sacks with sustained 5s as well. So that's really good for clearing out bigger units, which have their own value. So Sword Brethren are going to sit in S as well. I'm basically going to put it in order of Castellan, Marshal, Sword Brethren, Repex. But honestly, you're just going to see them all. So I think those are the main units you are going to see. And finally, we're going to look at the Terminators. I did say that we're only going to put 1 unit in D, but I think we might be putting the Terminators in there as well, just for my own balanced ability. So you can have a teleport hammer, the usual stuff. And when each time an enemy unit is within engagement range fails or falls back, they must take desperate breakouts, and then they're all their usual stuff. I just don't think you're going to be seeing them very often. I think if you're going to take Terminators, I think you're just going to take the normal Terminators, because they're better. So I think I'm going to put these in D as well, but I will put them over Sternguard, because I still think they are better than Sternguard. So yeah, that is the tier list, guys. So screenshot it, save it, amazing. I can't wait for someone to tell me that I'm wrong. So please go ahead and tell me if I am right or wrong. Feel free. So effectively, guys, that is the Black Templar tier list. We're going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a 101 on Black Templars, to go over some of the lists that have been doing well at the moment, and over some of the combos that people are using. So feel free to subscribe and like if you want to see more content like this. We've been doing a lot more tier lists recently because you guys love them and you're requesting them more and more every day, which we love because we do what you want to do. We're here for you as a community. So yeah, please drop a like and subscribe if you like more of this content, and yeah, I'll see you at the next tier list, guys. Goodbye.